Hi students, today's our topic is strategies for enhancement in food production. Strategies for enhancement in food production. So these topics explain how the strategies, what strategies are taken to increase the productivity of the plant. So India is a basically agricultural country. India is a basically agricultural country. So most of the Indian GDP, 33% of the Indian GDP, 33% of GDP is contributed to India, is contributed by agricultural only. Agricultural only. So 66% of the population, 66% of the population getting employment by the agriculture. From long ago, our farmers are using the traditional methods. Farmers are using traditional methods in their cultivation. So they are using some traditional methods to get their productivity. These traditional old methods are not fulfilling the needs of ever increasing population. So this is not fulfilling the needs of increasing population. That too, in India has limited fertile area, limited fertile land, limited fertile agricultural land. This limited fertile agricultural land and this limited fertile agricultural land, we need to increase the productivity for the ever increasing population. You know, our population day by day is increasing. Present Indian population is 130 crores. By increasing population, some of the fertile land area is converted for the shelter. So thereby cultivating land is also decreasing day by day, reducing day by day. So whatever the land is available, so in that available land, we need to increase the productivity of the food material by taking some efforts. In such context, our great scientist Manakundu Sambasivan Swaminathan, MS Swaminathan, introduced one concept, that is green revolution. green revolution. The aim of the green revolution is to increase the productivity, to develop the high yielding varieties in food crops, especially rice and maize, wheat and maize. In this concept of green revolution, they introduced a new hybrid which are high yielding, drought resistant and different resistance, etc. And pest resistant, disease resistant, so high-yielding varieties, drought resistant varieties, pest resistant varieties and disease resistant varieties are developed by this MS Swaminathan in 1960s. For that purpose, in nature some wild varieties are selected. The wild varieties means these wild varieties have the particular type of characters. Without the influence of the man, they give the crop, they give the productivity by naturally in nature. So in those plants, some desirable characters are selected. For example, one of the plant has a disease resistant, some other plant has a drought resistant, some other plant has a high yielding, some other plant has a pest resistant, some other plant has a disease resistant varieties. All of these characters, whatever the desirable characters, these all the desirable characters are incorporated into the native plant and purposefully manipulated for the fulfilling the needs of the population. Purposefully manipulated the wild varieties to move into the native plant, native area and develop. So this is called as a plant breeding. So what is meant by plant breeding? Purposeful manipulation of wild varieties to get better yield, and good hybrids is called as plant breeding. In this plant breeding technology, some advanced techniques also incorporated. Genetic engineering, biotechnology techniques are introduced into the native varieties, and we modify the native varieties by incorporating desirable characters from the wild varieties and developing the desirable plants and desirable hybrids. So this is called as a plant breeding. In this plant breeding, how they do the plant breeding mechanism? So it is not a 1 year mechanism or 2 year mechanism within the days. It will take much time, and we need to develop the varieties in different steps. In different steps are there. These steps are involved in the developing new varieties. So what are the steps and what are those? Let us see that. steps in plant breeding. Steps in plant breeding. There are some steps in the plant breeding technology. The first step is collection of variability. Collection of genetic variability. Collection of genetic variability. Evaluation and selecting parents. Evaluation and selecting parents. Third step, cross hybridization. Cross hybridization. Cross hybridization of selected parents. And testing and selection of superior recombinants. Superior recombinants. Testing and selection of the superior recombinants. Superior recombinants. And fifth step, testing and releasing for new cultivars. Testing and releasing for new cultivars. So these are the 5 steps involved in the plant breeding technique. Plant breeding technique contains the 5 steps. Collection of the genetic variability, evaluation, selection of the parents, cross hybridization of the selected parents, and testing and the selection of the superior recombinants by the cross hybridization, and testing and releasing for the new cultivar for commercialization. New cultivar for commercialization. So these are the steps in the plant breeding techniques. So let us see the first step. First step. In this first step, we can select the variable plants, variable characters of the plants in our nature. From our nature, we can select we are discussing about this. We are selecting the different varieties of the plants. Different varieties of plants. Different varieties of the plants which are having some desirable characters. They have some desirable characters. Desirable characters. These are available in the nature. So these wild varieties are selected, collected. Collection of these different variability and stored in the laboratories for the future purpose in the form of pollen grain and seeds. So these all the different varieties, all the different variability of the varieties in nature are collected. These are stored in the laboratories, are preserved in the laboratories in the form of pollen grains, and seeds. is called as germplasm collection. Germplasm collection. So different alleles of the different varieties are collected and preserved in the laboratories or seed banks in the form of pollen grain and seeds. That is called as germplasm collection. Suppose there is a mango variety. There is a mango variety. Mango. So mango has different varieties. In different places, different varieties are famous. For example, at particular place, A variety is famous. In particular place, B variety. In some other place, B. Some other C. Some other D. Example I am giving. Like that, different varieties are famous for different characters, different taste, different productivity in different places. All of these different variable character for particular species is collected and stored and preserved in the seed bank or seed bank. That is called as germplasm collection. So whatever the plants are selected, those must be homozygous condition. Homozygous condition. So that is about the collection of genetic variability. Collection of genetic variability. So next step is evaluation and selecting the parents. Evaluation and selecting the parents. We need to select the two parents for the cross fertilization. Two different varieties have the two different desirable characters. These two different desirable characters are selected, tested first, and then selected, and then evaluated, and finally selected for the cross fertilization. So that is the evaluation and selecting of parents. So here in this evaluation and selection of parents, whatever the variability is selected. In this variability, we need to check the characters. So whatever the desirable characters are present, these desirable characters must be checked properly, tested properly by the self-pollination for at least 6 generations. At least 6 generations. So whatever the variability is selected, in that some desirable characters are there. Those desirable characters showing plants are cultivated at least 6th generation and selected and tested in our native area. So they must have the homozygous condition. The characters whatever is selected, they must have a homozygous condition. If the heterozygous condition of the plant is heterozygous allele condition of the plants are selected, those are cultivated, those are self-pollinated for several generations, at least 6 generations, to get the homozygosity, to get the homozygous condition. By the self-pollination only it is possible to develop the heterozygous varieties as a homozygous condition. To maintain the homozygous condition. So this is the second step, evaluation and selecting of parents. So by this we selected the two parents. Two parents we select. So what are those two varieties? Suppose a variety A is selected after the several generation by testing. This variety has some disease resistance. Disease resistance is a character of this variety A. And one more variety is selected, that is B variety. That B variety has high yield. So this disease resistant A variety parent, so high yielding B variety parents are crossed. So that is the second next step. That is called as cross hybridization of selected parents. Cross hybridization of the selected parents. Now this disease resistant variety of A, high yielding variety of B is crossed by the artificial hybridization method. Artificial hybridization method. In this artificial hybridization technique, for example, a variety A is selected, that is having disease resistant character. Disease resistant character here. The B variety has high yielding variety. High yielding variety. So in these two varieties of the plants, two desirable characters showing plant are artificially crossed by the artificial hybridization method. Artificial hybridization method. In this artificial hybridization method, whatever the two plants are selected, it is treated as a male plant, it is treated as a female plant. Suppose it is treated as a male plant, it is treated as a female plant. Female plant. So it is from this male plant they collect the pollen grains. Artificially they collect the pollen grains. If it is a male plant, it is a unisex. They have only the androecium. They have only the androecium. Stamens are present. And then this is a female plant. In this female plant, only a gynoecium is present. Only a gynoecium is present. Only a gynoecium is present. Artificially, the anthers of these male plant is collected, and from that pollen grains are taken and preserved. So these pollen grains, whenever the stigma is ready for the pollination purpose, when the stigma is in the position of taking pollen grains, when it is fertile, when it is mature, so the pollen grains, whatever it is collected from this male plant, taken and dusted on this stigma of the female plant. Like this it is dusted, and then it is covered with one bag, polythene bag or some other bag is covered to prevent the further pollination mechanism with undesirable characters of the plant. Such a way, artificially the pollen grains are collected and dusted, and then the plants are crossed. So then after that, it gives fertilization takes place here. After the fertilization, we get the fruit and seed. From that fruit, we get the seeds. Then from those seeds, we need to select the expected desirable character, whatever it is seen in the new, whatever seed case of unisexual flower. In case of bisexual flower, if it is a bisexual flower, it is a bisexual flower. Even this is also a bisexual flower. Bisexual flower. Here what we have. So we are expecting the pollen grains of this A plant should be dusted on the stigma of this B plant. For that purpose, these anthers are not necessary. We are expecting to cross between these two plants. First, pollen grains of this plant is collected and then dusted on this. So that we need to remove these anthers here. We need to remove these anthers. So this mechanism is called as removal of anthers. From the flower is called as emasculation. So removal of anther from the plant is called as emasculation. Now the pollen grains of this plant is not pollinated here. So that we remove this anther here. So from this plant we take the pollen grains and then we dust it. So after that, this pollen grains, this dusted portion of the stigma is covered with the bag. This is called as a bagging or rebagging. Before the dusting, we should cover the stigma, because unnecessarily some other pollen grains will be reached to the stigma and pollination can be takes place. To avoid that, to stop that pollination, we cover the polythene bag before the dusting. That is called as a bagging. Next, the pollen grains of this plant is selected and collected and then dusted on this stigma by removing the bag. And again we are bagging. This is called as rebagging. Bagging and rebagging. So by this method, in such a way, two selected wild varieties are artificially crossed, and finally the fruits are collected from here, from this plant, and then from those plant we get the seeds. Now these seeds are collected and cultivated in the land. Now what is the next step? Testing and selection of cross-hybridization is over. And then testing and selection of the superior weed components. So what happened here? By the cross-hybridization, we get the product here. So seeds we get here. Seeds we collected from this after the cross-hybridization and fertilization. The seeds are cultivated in the field. the seeds are sown or cultivated after raising the plant, after developing the plant, we need to select the desirable characters showing plant. Expected desirable character. Wherever the expected desirable characters are present in the offsprings, those we have to select. So here the crucial mechanism is selecting. It is a crucial mechanism. It is a crucial mechanism. So in this crucial mechanism, it is a crucial mechanism. We need to take a particular expected desirable character. What is the expected desirable character of a plant here? Disease resistant and high yielding variety. So the disease resistant and high yielding variety we have to select. Among these seeds we can see the different varieties of the plant. Some are having only high yielding, some seeds are having only the disease resistant, few of them are having both the disease resistant and high yielding. This selection of these disease resistant and high yielding is a crucial mechanism. Not in one generation we can find. We have to do the several crosses, several self-pollinations we need to follow. Several from this plant, whatever the plant we get, those plant we need to cultivate for several times for the by self-pollination. Whatever the expected character we found, those are selected and tested for the several generations. Nearly 6 generations we need to do the self-pollination to retain this stable character, retain these two characters in the plant. Now this plant is selected. So that is called as a superior recombinant. From this superior recombinant, the superior recombinant is tested for the several generations to maintain the homozygous condition, and then it is selected. So this is called as selection of superior recombinant, and then testing and releasing for the new cultivars for the commercialization. Now the product is ready. Even after the completion of the product, development of the product, so this seed, whatever is expected, whatever the expected superior recombinant is cultivated for at least 3 generations. It is cultivated for the 3 generations in the different geographical places. Different geographical places and different atmospheric condition under the different atmospheric conditions. It is cultivated at least 3 generations. It is cultivated in different geographical conditions under the different atmospheric conditions to test the productivity of the plant. Whether it is suitable for all over the India or all over the world. Is in different geographical lands, whether it is showing or not, such a way it is cultivated for the regeneration, and finally it is released to the farmers. Then the farmers are using this recombinant. Then the farmers are using this recombinant for the cultivation. Such a way, in different steps, the plant breeders use the different steps to develop the high-yielding variety or a new hybrid. So next, how the plant breeding helped India to develop the varieties and increase the varieties. Already we discussed about the India is a agricultural country. India is a agricultural country. 33% of the GDP is contributed by the agriculture, and 66% of the population getting employment by the agriculture. After the independence in 1947, before the independence, after the few years of the independence, our country is facing the food scarcity. India is facing the food scarcity. So there is a scarcity of the food material. We have a limited land area, cultivated area, and food scarcity. At that condition, at that situation, Manipur Sambasivan Swaminathan developed one principle, one concept that is a green revolution. That is a green revolution. In this context, in this green revolution concept, he introduced the different high-yielding varieties, disease-resistant varieties, pest-resistant varieties, and stress-resistant varieties. Stress-resistant varieties means towards the temperature, against the temperature, salinity, like that. Alkalinity or salinity. So based on this, such a varieties are developed by the diseases. Such a varieties are developed by the green revolution. By importing some other varieties especially in maize and rice, especially food crops, especially food yielding crops. In a 3 decades, our rice productivity within the 3 decades after the independence in 1962, after the independence, 1962 2000 year, our rice productivity is increased to 35 million tons to 90 million tons. Rice productivity within the 3 decades. From the 1960 to 2000 year, the rice productivity is increased 30 million tons to 90 million tons. The wheat productivity is increased 11 million tons to 75 million tons. Such a rapidly the productivity is increased 3 times or 4 times, more than 3 times or 4 times by the efforts taken by the MS Swaminathan by introducing such a varieties within the 1960 to 2000 year. Because of some wheat varieties are imported from the high yielding wheat varieties. High yielding semi-dwarf high yielding wheat varieties introduced or imported to India by the Norman E. Borla. So he introduced the semi-dwarf wheat varieties. By this semi-dwarf wheat varieties, MS Swaminathan developed wheat varieties. Kalyan Sona, very important point is Kalyan Sona and Sonalika. Kalyan Sona and Sonalika wheat varieties are developed. He is a international center for wheat and maize improvement in Mexico. International, he is a scientist, International Center for wheat improvement in Mexico. So he introduced this Norman Borlaug is introduced. So MS Swaminathan developed the Kalyan Sona by parental material, whatever it is introduced with the Norman E. Borlaug. Those semi-dwarf yielding parental material used for the developing of Kalyan Sona and Sonalika in India. So some of the rice varieties, Taichung native one from the Taiwan, and IR8 from International Rice Research Institute from Philippines, Manila, Philippines. It is from Philippines. So this International Rice Research Institute is in Manila in Philippines. So IR8 from the Philippines, Taichung native one from the Taiwan, he imported. Who imported? MS Swaminathan imported, and he developed some native rice varieties, high-yielding native rice varieties. Those are called as Jaya and Ratna. Varieties are developed by the MS Swaminathan. Because of that, he got a Nobel Prize. MS Swaminathan got Nobel Prize. Not only the rice and wheat varieties, he developed some millets also. He developed some millet varieties like jowar, bajra. So he developed jowar, bajra, high-yielding jowar and bajra also developed by the MS Swaminathan, and he introduced the jowar, bajra, and also he developed the high-yielding millets, jowar and bajra. So high-yielding jowar and bajra is also developed by the MS Swaminathan. And also he developed a sugar cane, high-yielding sugar cane, thick stem and high-yielding, high sugar content containing sugar cane is developed. High sugar content, and thick stem containing sugar cane is developed by the scientists. A variety Saccharum barberry is a North Indian variety. It is a North Indian variety. This North Indian variety has low sugar content and thick stem. Low sugar content and thick stem. This is a North Indian variety. This grows in North Indian belt of the North Indian limestone. And Saccharum barberry. And a South Indian variety, Saccharum officinarum. A South Indian variety has a large high sugar content, and a thick stem. Thick hard stem is present in the Saccharum officinarum. So Saccharum officinarum is a South Indian variety. It has a high sugar content and thick stem. Saccharum barberry is a North Indian variety, low sugar content and thick stem. Here this Saccharum officinarum is not grown, not adjusted to the North Indian lands, North Indian area. It is not adopted, it is not grown in the North India. So that these two Saccharum officinarum and Saccharum barberry is crossed. Saccharum barberry and Saccharum officinarum is crossed. By this one, sugarcane variety is developed. This sugarcane variety has high sugar content and thick stem, thick and hard stem, which is able to grow in the North India, able to grow in North India. So such a new hybrid sugarcane variety was developed by the scientists. So this is about today's class. Thank you.